Hello, trans fans! Welcome to the winter holiday episode. Now, yeah, I couldn't get this video out by Christmas, so consider this a New Year's video. That's right, we're Jodie Whittakering this. But I did have the pleasure of having a big man in red enter my house this season, and his name is Studio Series 86 Ironhide. Now, doing a new toy of Ironhide isn't inherently weird, since he's beloved everywhere for his rough and tough demeanor and general friendliness. I mean, girls like me love them some Ironhide. It's just the decision to include him in the Studio Series 86 line based on the 86 Transformers movie. You know, the one where all Ironhide did was die? Getting shredded by Megatron's fusion cannon along with the rest of the main Autobots cast in the first 5 minutes of the movie, with parents staring at the screen wondering what the hell kind of kids movie is this? While kids everywhere just sat in endless contemplation and a life barely aware of what the color blue was suddenly coming to grips with mortality. What I'm basically saying is putting him in Studio Series is a bit of a reach. But I'm glad there's a new wide-release toy of the rambunctious red rascal after the Earthrise one proved to be as rare as the
White Peacock.
So let's start off the new year by reviewing this new recruit. Starting off, as you may have noticed, this robot mode is simply beautiful. Just stunning. It evokes the red Van Man so well, both in look and in feel. Ironhide's design in the G1 fiction is basically just some blocks with a chest windshield, so I can understand how previous versions have struggled with portraying that aesthetic while making it work as a transformer. But I feel like this figure figured out how to take that simple concept and turn it into something mechanical with presence. It does give off the energy of a van that decided to stand up. I guess it turns out the answer all along was to just make him a tall Voyager and put the extra budget into the engineering. For this reason, the toy is around tall deluxe height, but feels like a substantial Voyager. And I feel like he's got the look down beyond the aesthetics, if that makes any sense, like with the awesome window unitit. The colors pop so well with the different grays balancing the amazing red shining with such a vibrance, looking red hot as Satan himself. And there's lots of admirable subtle detailings giving a bit more texture to the figure. Nice lines etched in meant to imply the sense of a large size. Weirdly enough, the skirt is a single piece, so the whole thing moves when you push the legs up, which is a smidge inelegant. But he's got the iconic Ironhide diamond crotch, which kinda reminds me of a Chris McFeely tweet. And below he's got these large, chonky legs. It's fascinating how the side legs are made of folded up parts of the car. I also appreciate the giant robo feet, making it super easy to stand and pose. The back is also keeping it clean and admirable, although it looks like the guns should be able to peg into these pegs, but they don't, at least not securely. Which leads us to this beautiful bucket of a brain helmet. The red Bebop mohawk looks dynamite, rocking it with the signature Transformer earmuffs, and the red aura really brings out his wondrous sky blue eyes, even if they can get easily overshadowed in shadow by his helmet brow. This is just a hot looking figure. Like, let's be honest here, this is a super fuckable robot. The articulation excels, empowering the toy with all the desired action you'd need from a Voyager boy, and this is the kind of thing where you can make him look awesome without even trying. Finally, he has these two identical included blaster accessories. Their sculpt and paintwork look fresh, and you can make him dual wield like a badass mad bastard who's about to be shot by Starscream. As a whole then, this robot mode does nothing wrong to me. Every single thing that matters about this is good. And hey, I don't have the masterpiece, but I have a hard time believing it could be any better than this. I've seen photos, and it do not look better. In summary then, it's a triumph of a thing, capturing the character perfectly with a sense of flair that no other Ironhide toy ever has. This is an absolute killer robot mode. The transformation utilizes several moments of concentrated ingenuity and cleverness. The waist has a satisfying twist, and the way the feet fold out and become the back is simply mind-blowing. It's a mostly good, fun time with a few drawbacks, which I'll get to in a second. And here's our Ironhead in his red van mode. And you know what? This is pretty good. It's a very accurate, very cute, very red little brick. When I think of this version of Ironhide, this is definitely what pops into my brain. There's some suave silver supplements seasoned up on the front, topped off with just enough line work to convey the grille lines and the light detailings. And those are some pretty sexy tires. Maybe it's because the Earthrise toy just used the Cybertronian tires from the Siege mold, but these look so attractive with no visible pegs and a crunchy contrast between the black and the scrumptiously sculpted silver. The sides of the van look good, albeit this is where some of the cracks start to show, and by that I mean literal cracks, with the seam lines and the exposed hinges. I guess the color matching isn't 100% down, but it's close enough to keep the monsters in your closet. And, you know, it's a Transformer. If you find seam lines and hinges inexcusable, you're in the wrong hobby. I think it's a little funny how the
assembly labels
are visible in the windows. And very weirdly, he doesn't have the yellow stripe from the cartoon, but does have the indented lines where it should go. A tiny splash of additional colors wouldn't have killed this toy. The back has some really low windows, possibly to not interfere with the hinges. Again, the silver bumper looks good, but I can't help but feel like it's thirsting for an extra dab of just some other color. His blasters attach on the bottom to form these pretty extra exhausts. I always appreciate the weapon disguised as alt mode parts thing when employed subtly like this. But if you're yearning for something more up front, they also attach to these top pegs, which I'm sure will be very useful for a certain retool in the future. It's also worth noting how the back panels sometimes have a hard time staying closed on mine, and going back into the robot, untabbing everything from the top front can be pretty scary in your first couple of attempts. Nowadays, I just rip it open with the sheer confidence that comes with being familiar with a toy. Additionally, some of the tabs are made of transparent plastic, which doesn't scare me as much as it used to, but it can put some collectors right on edge. The blue translucent plastic doesn't look bad, but without any kind of interior, it's a bit pointless. Still, the reflective and glass-like see-through nature of it does work its magic in a small way. I know some of the flaws of this figure I mentioned will probably turn this toy off from the
big macho collectors who somehow expect mainline Hasbro toys to stand up to $200 third-party masterpiece grade stuff.
But if you're a bit more like me, there's definitely some enjoyment to be found in this still. It's a pretty good alt mode with an ultra fantastic robot form. So is this my new definitive G1 Ironhide toy for my Generations shelf? Well, yes! It's just nice having a satisfying, awesome figure of G1 Ironhide, because I like G1. I know a lot of people seem to think I don't, because I said it's okay for Hasbro to try out new things with the characters and don't always feel like they have to cater to 30-year-old fanboys every 15 minutes for their super weird obsession with remembering the 80s happened. But I do like a bit of G1. It's not exactly a fully perfect figure, but newsflash, there has never been a fully perfect G1 Ironhide toy. Even the Masterpiece had its issues. So I feel there's definitely something to be said in that this is the best figure of this version of the character. Sometimes improving doesn't mean stretching yourself to make the greatest thing ever created by humans. Sometimes just showing you're trying to do better than your last attempt is a success in itself. You don't have to be 100% perfect, because nothing truly can be, but if you're better than you were before, then I think that's something to be proud of. And I believe that's something we can take into this new year. So rounding it off, I can't see a Generations Ironhide toy getting any better than this. This is an Ironhide. You should definitely Ironhide. Ironhide.